Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us for our webinar, Mobilizing Your Campus during National Campus Safety Awareness Month, sponsored by Code Blue. My name is Amy Guthrie, and I'm the program coordinator here at the Clery Center for Security on Campus. I will be helping to moderate the webinar today. A few housekeeping items before we get started. We encourage you to interact with our speakers by typing in questions and comments using the questions pane throughout the presentation. We will be answering questions live, both during the presentation and directly after if time permits. If you would like to join the conversation on Twitter, the hashtag for the webinar, the hashtag for Safe Campus Strong Voices campaign is pound or #SCSV. We would love to have you connect with us and keep the conversation going beyond today's event. Also, we are recording the session today, so we will make the link to the recording available 24 hours post-event via email to all of you. The goal of this webinar is to provide you with an overview of the Safe Campus Strong Voices campaign and toolkit and the strategies for developing a multidisciplinary approach to campus safety programming. We have invited a few institutions to speak about the programs they have implemented, and we'll be opening the conversation for what works best considering the size of your school, student involvement, staff capacity, and other factors. We will also highlight additional resources to use throughout the year. National Campus Safety Awareness Month, or NACSAM, was initiated in 2004 when student government representatives at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay approached the Clery Center with an interest in creating a program with the following main goals. They wanted to raise awareness about safety and health issues on college campuses by engaging students, administrators, and other stakeholders in the campus community. They wanted to unite the university community and bring these issues to the forefront during the first month of school, and also to encourage colleges and universities to do more throughout the year to raise awareness and knowledge of campus safety issues among the whole campus community. After a few successful years of continuous growth, the program unanimously received support from Congress in 2008. I would now like to welcome Angela Rose, founder and executive director of our partnering organization, Promoting Awareness, Victim Empowerment, or PAVE, and she will talk a little bit about our partnership for the Safe Campus Strong Voices campaign. Welcome, Angela.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you to all of you listening and joining in today. This is a very important time for our collective movement, working together on college campuses across the exciting and so incredibly meaningful, and all of the other collaboration organizations that have been involved just shows the solidarity. You know, this campaign, the Safe Campus Strong Voices campaign, was the brainchild of myself and another member of the Clery Center for Security on Campus 3 years ago. And we really are trying to take a positive and proactive approach at these issues on campus, engaging men and women to be a part of the solution. And what I love about the toolkit and this campaign is that it's very action focused. So it's not just the education piece of all of these issues on campus, but it's also what action can people take on their campus to make a difference. And that's what's so exciting. And there's been no other time, as you all know, in the media, issues of violence on campus is now really coming to the forefront. And what I love about this campaign and this partnership is that there's pockets of awesomeness all over the country. But what's so exciting is bringing all these people to the table and sharing our ideas and our resources and working together in order to keep campuses safe and allow students to learn without fear, without violence and harassment, and make sure that they can thrive on campus.
Thank you, Angela. This year we've had over 400 institutions from 46 different states registered to receive the digital Safe Campus Strong Voices Toolkit. A large percentage have not participated in NACSAM with us before, and around 49% are public safety departments, around 20% are working in student affairs, with smaller percentages in resident and student life offices, 20% making up other departments as well, such as health and student services, women's centers, student engagement and wellness offices, among others. We're very excited to have received such a high interest in webinars through our application survey, and we're pleased to announce that there are around 260 of you who are joining us today. If you haven't already downloaded the toolkit, you can find the application at clerycenter.org under the education menu option. If you have any issues, we can also provide an alternative option such as Dropbox, and we will work with you to make sure that you have successfully downloaded those materials. We're also excited to have these amazing organizations on board as collaborators for this year's campaign. We have Break the Cycle, Gordy Center for Substance Abuse Prevention. We have hazingprevention.org, Holla Back, the National Partnership to End Interpersonal Violence, Responsibility Project, SAFER, Students Active for Ending Rape, Stop the Silence, Stop Child Sexual Abuse, and the Stalking Resource Center through the National Center for Victims of Crime. We've included their resources in the toolkit as well as a full list of links and social media profiles, so please visit them and check out all of the valuable information that they have to offer. I also want to highlight a few of the events that our collaborators have scheduled throughout this month. On September 25th at 1 p.m., the Stalking Resource Center will be conducting a webinar that addresses stalking on campus. You can find information about this along with a registration link on our Facebook page. September 23rd through the 27th is National Hazing Prevention Week. You will find more information and resources along with a link to the program on the homepage at hazingprevention.org. Their hashtag is NHPW 2013. And also on September 26th is National Gordy Day, organized by the Gordy Center for Substance Abuse Prevention to raise awareness about alcohol overdose, hazing, the bystander intervention, and you'll find all the resources you need to in order to participate at gordyscall.org. And then on September 27th, we have the National Campus Sexual Assault Summit that was organized by PAVE. You can attend virtually or in person at Georgetown Law in DC. We have more information on our Facebook page, as well as pavingtheway.net, and also on strongvoicescampaign.org, which is the website for a Safe Campus Strong Voices campaign. Now I'd like to introduce Abigail Boyer, who is the Assistant Executive Director of Programs, Outreach, and Communications here at the Clery Center. She is going to discuss campus awareness programs, the Safe Campus Strong Voices Toolkit in more detail, and also provide information about our Day of Action on September 25th and the Pact 5 Documentaries Project.
Thank you, Amy. And we'll actually have Angela will speak about that National Campus Sexual Assault Summit. She can add a little bit more information for those of you who are interested in attending at the end of this webinar. Before moving forward, one point that we always like to make is that every institution has its own campus culture, and it's important to consider that as you look at what types of programming and resources you implement on campus. Some of our institutional partners will speak to this issue later on in the webinar, but it's critical to consider this framework as you strive to have a year-long conversation about campus safety. So what are people's attitudes around issues such as sexual assault, domestic violence, hazing, stalking, and other campus safety issues? And is it a climate in which people feel respected and valued? Is it inclusive? As we offer programming, are we doing so with the whole campus in mind? Those that are involved in student activities, those who are not, individuals who are on campus, commuters, graduate students, employees. These are just some things that we want you to think about throughout the webinar, and there's some ideas that we've tried to incorporate into the Safe Campus Strong Voices resources. Just as a reminder, in the toolkit itself, you can access a number of different resources, and fortunately, we've had so many institutions that have jumped on board and have downloaded the toolkit and have joined us with that. The 30 Days, 30 Activities Guide was created to give you all a menu of options so that you can pick and choose what makes the most sense for your particular campus. Although all of these resources were created with National Campus Safety Awareness Month in mind, you could choose to incorporate these ideas throughout the year. For those of you who choose to do or chose to do a video campaign or connect online, the social media folder has sample tweets, status updates, images, and videos that you can use and share freely. We also have project samples, handouts, and a number of different items to utilize in the kit. And we've offered the Safe Campus Strong Voices logo to incorporate into your flyers, t-shirts, or other items that you create at your institution. And we've had some institutions that have sent over pictures in which they've done that. So that's wonderful to see. We're incredibly excited that many people have also reached out to us regarding the September 25th Day of Action and have kept us in the planning loop, so to speak, as they implement the campaign at their own institutions. For those of you who aren't familiar, our Day of Action is centered around the Pact 5 campaign, in which students from 5 institutions, Rowan University, California State University at Northridge, Western State Colorado University, Northern Illinois University, and Framingham State University, created documentaries focused on sexual assault, which are available for free. We hope that you'll all join us for the Day of Action and encourage your students, faculty, and staff to make the pact, which you see right in front of you. And it consists of the following 5 statements. I'm aware that sexual assault can happen to anyone at any time. I believe we can end sexual assault through education. I will always be sure of genuine consent before any sexual activity. I will take action if I see a situation that could lead to sexual assault, and I commit to learning more and promoting the pact. So it's really about mobilizing, going back to the name of this particular webinar, it's really about mobilizing your campus and making them recognize that everyone really can play a role and be a part of the solution. You can participate in the Day of Action first by visiting www.pact5.org to find out more information about Pact 5 and to watch all the documentaries. I believe there's a total of 10 documentaries on that website, and as I mentioned, they're all available for free. We do encourage you to take a look at the Pact 5 documentaries guide, which you can see on the screen in front of you, and really determine which are most appropriate for your specific institution. So looking at which student groups that you're looking to speak with, what types of programming you're offering on campus, and really figuring out which documentary fits best for what you're trying to do. In the guide, we highlight how each documentary can be used and provide you with talking points for you to use as you provide education on your campus. For the Day of Action itself, it's useful to set up a table in a high traffic area. So for a lot of you, that could be a cafeteria. You may choose to do something within your residence halls or in another location on campus, a student union. And if you have internet access, which would be most ideal, you can set up a laptop to www.pact5.org and put out Pact 5 handouts and other information that you have on campus about sexual assault, bystander intervention, or rights and options for sexual assault survivors on your campus. You can talk about Pact 5 to individuals who pass by and encourage them to make the pact, which you can find on www.pact5.org, using that computer that you have available. If you don't have internet access while tabling, you can use the Pact 5 sign-up sheet to have students, faculty, and staff make the pact and enter the information into the website at a later time. You can also choose to incorporate the pact as you screen the documentaries on campus. You can find all of the resources that I've just mentioned on the National Campus Safety Awareness Month page on our website, which is www.clerycenter.org. Our next presenter will talk a little bit more about really how you can apply this campaign to her or to your own institution. And when we've been having our initial conversations with her, I think Amy and I, and certainly when we share this with Angela, have really almost been jumping up and down when we hear what they're doing on their campus, because it really shows how you can take a campaign and make it your own. So Lucille Ginta-Bates is the interim coordinator of the Gender Violence Prevention Program at the Women's Center. She has a BA in pre-dance therapy from University of the Pacific in Stockton, California, as well as an MS in social responsibility from St. Cloud State University. Ginta-Bates worked for several years in alumni relations at Penn State University before pursuing her graduate studies at St. Cloud State University. Since 2008, she has served as adjunct faculty in human relations and multicultural education at St. Cloud. Ginta-Bates was also coordinator of volunteer services at Anna Marie's Alliance for just over 2 years. Her current position at the Women's Center includes working as a trained sexual assault advocate, mentoring students who are learning advocacy, sexual assault prevention, education, and outreach, as well as assisting with overall Women's Center programming function. With a passion for gender equality and education, she is pleased to be a current member of the Women's Center team. So thank you so much, Lucille, for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to be here. and I really enjoyed the first few slides. Lots of great information. So I'm here to talk about my program, or our program at St. Cloud State University. Something that's really special about us is we have a women's center, and we are celebrating our 24th year as a women's center at St. Cloud State University. Only approximately 18% of post-secondary four-year schools actually have a women's center. So we have a really highly developed program where we are providing outreach, education, and direct services to the students on our campus. So that's really a benefit for us coming in. So if we take a look at my next slide, I can tell you a little bit about how we work big picture year-round. Part of the Women's Center is the Gender Violence Prevention Program, and the purpose of that program is to address sexual assault, sexual harassment, and other gender inequality issues. And we do that through programs and services. We do education programming around campus safety concerns and gender-based violence. We also provide advocacy services, free, confidential services to women and men on campus that are experiencing sexual assault or other gender-based violence, where they can come and have a safe place. So that's something that we've got going on all the time, and our programming, really the point is to do prevention, but to raise awareness that we are here if someone needs help. So part of that prevention, we are behind a program that's been in place for many years at St. Cloud State, and this is an online sexual violence prevention program required for all incoming students. It's called Respect and Responsibility. It used to be in person, where we would have 500 students come in and listen to a presentation. It's now an online video educational program. The students have to complete and pass a test at the end, or they won't be able to register for classes the following semester. So that's a great way that we reach all of our new students. And then we also have bystander education programming at St. Cloud State University through the Women's Center. The current program we're using is the Mentors in Violence Prevention Program. So we've got students going to classrooms and student groups, talking with students, basically peer education, raising awareness, and that's something we do year-round. And then the Women's Center does programming surrounding the various months, like October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month and April being Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So when we found out about National Campus Safety Awareness Month in the month of September, we really felt it was a perfect fit for the kind of work we already do. And we're very excited because we know September students are first coming back to campus. It's so important to reach them. Those first few weeks on campus, young women are so vulnerable to sexual assault, and so we just thought it was a great way to get our message out. So if you want to go to my next slide, you already did, great. The Women's Center, one of our successes is that we have a philosophy of event planning that's a collaborative approach. So our Women's Center is staffed by 3 full-time staff, and then the rest of our staff are student workers, graduate assistants, and interns. And we include those workers fully in our event planning process. We work by committee. Students make lots of choices about what kind of programming they're interested in working on. And so our National Campus Safety Awareness Month Planning Committee is co-chaired by 2 students, a graduate assistant, and one of our student employees. And I'm advising them, but they're actually spearheading the planning and taking care of getting the events implemented. And then another prong to what we do as far as how the philosophy at the SCSU Women's Center, we've developed relationships over the years with community agencies. Like, for example, Anna Marie's Alliance is our local battered women's shelter, and we do Domestic Violence Awareness Month programming with them. We also work with other departments on campus that have vested interest in our programming. We look to them for fiscal contributions to our events and who can fill seats. We collaborate with instructors, and we plan our programming at times when certain classes meet so we can fill our chairs. So that's really a wrap-up of how we do event planning and how National Campus Safety Awareness Month just really fits into that. So my next slide, we'll just go a quick review of what we're doing at St. Cloud State. And we've already kicked off with some tabling last week, which was wonderful. It was the second week of classes, and we tabled in our student union for about 4 hours and spoke to over 120 students about National Campus Safety Awareness Month. We gave out our Women's Center pens and information cards about upcoming events. So we'll be continuing to table. We did the 2 dates last week, and then next week we'll be tabling to promote our speaker and also the day of action that we'll be doing here. So go to the next slide. You can see we have selected a keynote event for National Campus Safety Awareness Month. And what's really exciting about that keynote event is this is something that had come on our radar because we already have networks out there where we hear about speakers that are pertinent to the work the Women's Center does. And if you check out Tony Porter on TED Talks, he's amazing. His Call to Men, the Next Generation of Manhood. He's, as his bio says here, he's an educator, activist, and a lecturer. So we were able to arrange to have him come to St. Cloud State Monday, September 23rd. So we'll be able to promote the pledge there. And we were able to bring this together because we were able to collaborate on funding. There's another university in Minnesota that's bringing him in, so we were able to split his travel expenses. So for smaller schools, you could think about what are the other schools in your area doing. Is there a speaker that you can share? So during this week, he'll be visiting 2 schools. And then we also reached out to different campuses, different campus departments, and they're able to give a few $100s each a piece, and we were able to put together the speaker fee for this. So very exciting. It should be a great event. And then my next slide is just a little bit of information about how we're planning Day of Action. We are doing outdoor tabling, and we're doing a venue that is the back patio of our student union. It's an extremely high traffic area. We did reserve a canopy that day. We have the campus radio station KVSC on site to play music and to give have giveaways for those folks that will do sign the Pact. We had the Pact 5 logo put on stickers that we'll be able to give out to folks. And so we're also working on screening the documentaries at the top of each hour at our booth. And the technology piece for that's been a little tricky, but we have access to electricity and the internet, so it looks like we'll be able to have a couple of volunteers who can bring laptops, and then that's how we'll be able to do that piece of it. So we're really excited about our first Day of Action. We've got great enthusiasm from the staff of the Women's Center, and we'll be promoting that across campus. We've got a poster which wasn't quite ready for today. We actually just finalized our poster with University Press just this morning, and then we'll do a press release promoting all of these events probably early next week. And then the final event that we've got, the last slide I have to share with you, is that we have a wonderful tradition of Take Back the Night being held on the 4th Thursday of September every fall, and it's a campus and community collaboration. It's on a park, held in a beautiful park adjacent to our campus. And so it was a natural fit so that we could have a list of 3 events for National Campus Safety Awareness Month. So we're cross-promoting Take Back the Night as part of our events, and then Take Back the Night is also going to have a table for additional signing the Pact, even though it's the day after Day of Action. So we'll be able to get some additional pledges at that event. And it's a really well attended and very popular in the St. Cloud community, so we're very excited to be able to link on to that. So that's really all we have from St. Cloud State. I'll be happy to take any questions later on, and thank you so much for including us. It really is an honor to be able to share our information and hear about what everyone else is doing as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lucille. And I think what's so significant about what Lucille just shared is really looking at what those partnerships can look like, particularly because, as she mentioned, not everyone has a women's center, not every institution has a place really devoted to some of these issues. So looking at how you can partner with local victim service organizations or with student groups on campus, on your campus, sororities, fraternities, and other folks, I think for a lot of institutions can be really, really useful. And using this type of campaign is a great way to mobilize some of that. Our next presenter is LB, Lauren Bernstein, who is the Assistant Director of the Respect Program for the Office of Health Promotion at Emory University. Their mission is to engage the Emory community to prevent and respond to sexual assault and relationship violence. LB has been recognized on campus and nationally for her intersectional, comprehensive, and student-centered work to end sexual violence, support survivors, and build more socially just communities. She holds a BA and MSW from Washington University in St. Louis and is a licensed master social worker in the state of Georgia. She's also pursuing training in lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender public health, as well as mindfulness and psychotherapy. So thank you for joining us, Lauren.
It's wonderful to be here with everyone. Virtually, I wish we could all just be in the same room and be able to talk about these issues in person as well. So it's wonderful to be here, and I feel very privileged. I'm grateful to everyone who's here and who's organized this. It's critical that we come together and talk about these issues and what we can do on our campuses. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
So I work in the Emory University Respect Program. We've been the Respect Program for 1 year. We were previously called Sexual and Relationship Violence Prevention Education and Response. And we worked to shift our focus towards serving students, engaging students, and really moving from a medical model to more of a model that really intersected social work, student affairs, and public health. So we engage our community, and our vision, and I think it's all of our vision, is to have campuses in which students do not fear or experience interpersonal violence. A lot of times we talk about responding to crisis situations, which we should, and we should do that well and be very committed to that, but we really wanted to come together as a community to say that we're here to end this, so this is not inevitable. And our values are really centered on students, empowering students and empowering survivors, social justice, advocacy, collaboration, which was mentioned earlier, which of course is critical to all of our work, particularly those of us who are working without established programs, who are working as one-person offices, etc. And also excellence, really making sure that we're assessing what we're doing and figuring out, is what we're doing working? So what we do, so we work across the prevention continuum on sexual violence, dating violence, and stalking. So broadly, we work within the Office of Health Promotion, within our kind of public health branch of our student health and counseling services, to engage the whole population, to provide training, engage subpopulations, which I'll talk about later, particularly our Greek communities, but also working with LGBT students, students of color, our first-year students, for example. Empowering students, providing advocacy-based counseling. We're also the resource for support on campus. Inclusion and accessibility, making sure all students on our campus can really work with us, collaborating, and again, assessment. So what's coming up for us? So we are working comprehensively over the next couple of months to really provide many different opportunities at Emory to talk about these issues. We're collaborating with our broader enterprise-wide endeavors to really also engage faculty and staff through those partnerships. And so establishing those coalitions has been critical to us as well, so that we can focus on students, which is our mission and vision, but also really engage everyone on campus. One part of that is happening today, which involves our students taking the Pact and being a part of this program, and we're continuing that from now and our Red Zone rally through the day of action on the 25th to really bookend a series of programs that allow for our students to engage around the Pact and engage around the concept of the Red Zone. The idea that the first 6 weeks of the semester involve the highest perpetration of sexual violence. We really at Emory are trying to highlight this, not to scare students. We're always kind of balancing those things right on our campuses, really making people aware. We're also supporting people, letting them know they have support and can get involved. So we are really coming together, all of our campus organizations. There are about 7 or 8 different programs that are really coming together for this, to highlight the Red Zone and for our students to share what they're doing to help end sexual violence. We as well have a Take Back the Night rally and speak out, which will be later in October for us. but we really wanted to provide an open mic opportunity for those in our community to share what they're doing, to provide lists of things our students can do, and really open up our semester with ways for our students to get involved. So we have a lot of student partners. I'm currently a one-person program, and our program's been a one-person program for 7 years. We're very excited to be expanding into a two-person professional staff, but we have a lot of students who work with us, and we would not be able to do what we do without them. Our Sexual Assault Peer Advocates organization started 2 years ago, but has trained over 1,000 students on what to say, what not to say, and how to help sexual assault survivors. So using a tiered system, they're really able to provide basic 2-hour training and allow for increasing ongoing opportunities. So we have a for-credit class associated with this program for increased involvement. We have an executive board, peer facilitators. We really try to encourage students, this is a really good example of that, to be able to engage on multiple levels, whether it's simply sharing a video on Facebook or attending a 2-hour training, or if it's really heading up a movement and an initiative. We're also very grateful to have really infused this training into our broader campus culture. And this is also collaborating with students who are taking this Pact who are already engaged. And really having them be visible so they can attract their friends. We've really worked on kind of the viral marketing of this issue through our students. So we've trained a lot of our key campus leaders, including our residence life and housing student staff and all of our orientation leaders. And that has really allowed us to ensure that when students are coming to campus, folks around them who are supporting them at least have a baseline knowledge of how to support survivors. Our Alliance of Sexual Assault Prevention works a lot in collaboration with our Greek initiative on Take Back the Night and other events, on conversations and creating space. So not every student wants to be an advocate. A lot of students just want to talk about it and figure out these issues. I'll highlight as well, as there had been conversation earlier about graduate students, Emory's student population is half graduate students. And we have a specific graduate student collective that involves all 7 of our graduate divisions to also engage those graduate students in a graduate student specific way. As leaders, we have, of course, grad assistants and interns in our program, but we really want to make a space where grad students can market to their communities, can set up tables, including for this program, within their own schools, and can gather professionally and as mentors for our younger students. We're also working in our Greek communities on a lot of assessment to figure out what our Greek communities are thinking. We're bringing them together as well as a part of this initiative to really have conversations about prevention and what they can do within their own houses on campus and within their own communities. So key pieces, this is all student-led. We recently initiated an orientation program that lasts will be ending probably next week, that has 3 facilitated discussions and a performance and video night that really highlights the concept of creating community and sexual violence, and also issues of diversity and harassment and discrimination are a part of that. We've piloted that this year to really start those conversations, have student leaders facilitate them, and not only have a one-time program. We want to continue those conversations and have them be facilitated by the leaders who are already in those communities. We work intentionally on engaging men both in our fraternities and across campus, and engaging our male staff members as role models and our male student leaders as role models in prevention and in supporting this issue. We have a video series on YouTube, and along with some of the documentary information that our student groups will be screening, we'll also be continuing to hype up our Project Unspoken series. One of our students, Caleb Pang, who graduated last year, created this series, and it's available to all of you on YouTube, because there isn't a whole lot out there that's free and speaks to college campuses about sexual violence. And so that's been an incredible initiative that has really engaged students, and particularly men on our campus, in this issue. And other initiatives that we have that I'll touch on very briefly, we work we have a conference, a national conference called RespectCon. which basically highlights sexual assault prevention and social justice on college campuses, and are convening a national meeting of folks who are doing this work on college campuses. So we want to ensure that our students are building their capacity, and that we're also really coming together at Emory to talk about this issue as one that really needs education and really needs conversation, and not just passive programming. We also have Denim Day. They'll be coming up in April. We do commemorate our awareness months. We call it Relationship Violence Awareness Month at Emory just because students weren't really resonating with domestic violence. So part of it is how can we package it for our individual student populations so that it'll resonate with them. And we also have core documents on our website that are available at all times to folks, teachers, for example, who are in the classroom talking about this. We have response and resource guides for students and for faculty and staff who are working with them. We have safety plans, etc. And those are on our website, and any of you are welcome to adapt those with credit to us for your campuses, because we think it's also important members of our community to have something written down that really provides talking points and resources in an accessible way. So I'm not going to belabor this, but this is more of a visual on the continuum of prevention. A lot of times we get really stuck, and we should be focused on, of course, responding to students in crisis and survivor support. I'm a mental health professional, so I very much care about that. But we like to make sure at Emory that we provide a visual often of the real continuum that we need to be addressing for this issue, because I know that all of us really, at the end of the day, want to ensure that we do, is that we are working to end sexual violence. Cool, so here are just some testimonials from our students about our program, about empowering them, creating an inclusive and supportive community, and about, I'll point to the second quote, that respect is not just some ambiguous social norm, it's an intentional effort to preserve human dignity. So that our students are really engaged and working together, and are able to really speak to the work that we're trying to do. Our students are our best ambassadors. I can go around all day talking about sexual violence, but really what has helped us be successful is engaging students, meeting them where they are, and providing a lot of different opportunities for collaboration and work on this issue. These are just some of them. Well, thank you. Feel free to find us on social media, get in touch with us. It's very easy to remember, just RESPECT. And we would love to provide any support to your work, and you're welcome to borrow some of our materials as well. And I'm really excited to continue to hear about what all of our campuses are doing to engage our students in ending violence.
Great. And I think one thing that's really significant that LB just shared is really about working together to engage other people on our campus in these kind of initiatives. And I think a lot of what she's talking about, particularly with sexual violence and even in addressing some of these other issues, it's important to note that we can incorporate some of these objectives and some of these processes when addressing all different types of campus safety issues. So you might take a look at your particular campus and say, you know, we think we have a really strong program in addressing sexual violence, but we think that we need more promotion of our threat assessment or the teams that we have on campus, or we need to talk more about hazing. So I would encourage you to look at some of these different programs and how they're implemented, and then see how you can apply that to a number of different issues.
Next, we would like to introduce Holly Ryder Milkovich. She's the Director of Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Center at the University of Michigan, and she brings a rich professional history of experiences on college campuses in nonprofit management and in direct service to survivors of violence. She brings to the Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Center a strong commitment to primary prevention and education, as well as a passion for excellent survivor care and crisis response. Under Holly's leadership, University of Michigan rehauled its mandatory sexual assault education curriculum to focus on strengths-based, skill-focused primary prevention strategies. Most recently, Holly helped author University of Michigan's newly revised sexual misconduct policy and is midstream in co-developing an institution-wide implementation of the training program and a training program. Previously, Holly served as the Director of Student Wellness Center at New York City College of Technology. Prior to this position, Holly successfully secured nearly $1 million to private and corporate funding for women in criminal justice histories and their children at the Women's Prison Association. And she also served as the executive director of Glenn Community Crisis Center, a 3-county domestic violence intervention program and emergency shelter in Southeast Georgia. Holly is no stranger to the classroom or to crisis lines. Her decade of teaching experience includes courses in women's studies, writing, literature, and cultural studies. She has offered advocacy for survivors of sexual and intimate partner violence on phones, in shelters, courtrooms, prisons, and at kitchen tables. She holds a master's degree in English and Cultural Studies from Kansas State University with a certificate in Women's Studies. Welcome, Holly. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for allowing University of Michigan to participate in this wonderful program. I've so enjoyed learning more about the program in St. Cloud from Lucille, and have long been a fan of the amazing work that LB is heading up at Emory University. So I feel as though I'm in just wonderful company on this program today. One of the reasons why we are really excited to participate in Safe Campus Strong Voices this year is that, for me, it really resonated in how you need to approach this issue to really have the most effective response on campus. You really do need strong voices from campus administrators, strong voices from faculty and staff, and also strong voices from students, to ensure that we're all doing everything we can to create a safe environment for living and for learning and for working as well. So at the University of Michigan, we are lucky that we've had the Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Center for over 27 years here on campus. We're a freestanding independent unit. We responded directly to the Vice President for Student Affairs. We have 5 professional staff persons, 12 graduate student interns at one time or another, and over 100 active student volunteers in 3 different programs, which we'll talk about a little bit later. SAPAC was founded 27 years ago by student activists, and that student activism really has continued to be the focus of the work that we do. We say that we are experts at teaching, leading, and healing, healing survivors of sexual assault and intimate partner violence, teaching our campus community about sexual violence and intimate partner violence prevention, faculty, staff, and students, and then leading in teaching the next generation of prevention educators and response educators in this work. And we're really proud of each of those pieces that we do. University of Michigan has had comprehensive training for our undergraduate students since 2004. One of the first mandates that our current president, Mary Sue Coleman, brought in with her presidency was a commitment that every University of Michigan incoming student received this kind of work. And so since 2004, we have been engaged in this work, but our work has grown over the years, and I'm really proud of where we are today. So next slide. So University of Michigan's approach, like Emory University, is a spectrum approach, both seeking to prevent violence long before it begins, to provide our community with the means to address incipient violence before it happens, to respond effectively immediately after the violence, and then to ensure that we have appropriate and strong resources for survivors of violence to promote their healing and to prevent, and also systems in place to prevent recidivism of perpetrators of violence. So our multi-modality approach ensures that we're really trying to reach students in the ways in which they learn. So anyone in the classroom for about a half a second understands that students learn in different ways, and that we want to make sure that we're not just hitting them one time with our message, but that we're hitting them multiple times with our message, asking them to engage with the work, and really meeting them where they are. And so, like very many of my colleagues, we have an online program that our students take prior to their arrival on campus. They also get a program during their orientation that is a peer theater workshop that gives students an opportunity to engage with these issues in a really fun and exciting theater performance venue. And then once they arrive on campus, In the first 7 weeks of campus, they receive a program on relationship remix, which is a primary prevention focus that is promoting healthy relationships. So if you could then switch to the next slide, please. So relationship remix is a huge endeavor at the University of Michigan. I just did the statistics a few minutes ago, and we have 130 plus student volunteers in addition to our 400 residents who are looking to engage in sexual violence prevention in those first 8 weeks. And they contribute 4,000 volunteer hours in order to make that happen at 130 workshops on all of our residence hall floors every single fall semester. It is a collaboration with University Health Services, our sexual health peer educators, SAPAC, and also our residence education program. And Relationship Remix is a project that we work on throughout the entire year. It runs for 8 weeks in the fall, but the programming and the preparations for that program happen all year long. One of the reasons that we focus on that for the entire year is that Relationship Remix also has embedded within it a comprehensive evaluation project. So we're currently working on a long-term longitudinal study of the effectiveness of Relationship Remix that has 3 different evaluation components. And for us, that's very important because we want to ensure that the work that we're doing is the most effective that we can do, and that if it is not effective, we're prepared to make those changes. So that's an important component for Relationship Remix. You could switch to the next slide, please. So here are the learning objectives for Remix. And I really liked what Abigail said earlier in the program, that it's important to come up with the campus programs that really are appropriate to your campus climate. At University of Michigan, much of the work that we do with our students is framed around students making self-determined choices based on their values. So what we do in Relationship Remix is we start the work with students, asking them to think about their decision-making overall, and especially their decision-making in relationships from their own value set. Now, one of the things that is really important in working with a student population is to make sure that when you're talking about relationships, you're talking about it in a way that students are actually going to recognize as being relevant to their own lives. And so at University of Michigan, when we're talking about relationships, we make sure that we say, a relationship can be a intentional, serious, long-term, monogamous commitment to another person. It can also be a relationship of one night. It can also be a relationship of several hours. And each of those might have different values, and each of those and all of those things are identified in our program. So we want for students to think about that decision making from their value set. We want them to think about relationships in general in the context of their overall wellness. And then we really start to focus in on developing relationship skills, developing communication skills, and developing consent skills. And the reason why we have that skills focus in that first year workshop is that what we identified from previous research on our campus was that students come in with a knowledge set about relationships, a knowledge set about communication skills, a knowledge set about consent, but no experience. And so they were having a very difficult time transitioning from the knowledge to the action. And our workshop is designed to help students do that. The way that we do that in our workshops is that it's entirely focused on activities. We've thrown out the PowerPoint altogether, and students have a chance to practice with each other through a series of graduated activities that help them with these items. And of course, students do gain more awareness about campus resources. One of our most successful collaborations was with our sexual health peer educators. When our SAPAC peer educators team up with our sexual health peer educators, it was incredibly important because it destigmatized sexual assault prevention students talking about healthy relationships. And so it also provided an additional skill set to our sexual health peer educators. So this has been a really successful and powerful collaboration. All right, next slide, please. So what I've talked about for a few minutes is the ways in which institutionally University of Michigan has taken responsibility for ensuring that all of our incoming students receive thorough multimodality programming on sexual violence prevention. All of that institutional work is really reinforced by the work that our students do. So we, again, have over 100 student activists in 3 different groups, networking, publicity, and activism, our men's activism program, and then our peer educators. And I've just plucked out 2 of the programs that they do over the course of the year that really are wonderful examples of creative ways that students can engage with other students around these issues. So on the right-hand side, there's No Shave November. That's a program from our men's activism program. And the goal of No Shave November was for the men's activism program was to provide a way for male students who weren't necessarily already a part of SAPAC to be involved in a consent-based program that was a low threshold engagement. So I think Lauren pointed out a few minutes ago, not every student is interested in being an advocate. Some students just really want an opportunity to talk about these issues. No Shave November is a wonderful way for men to have an opportunity to talk about these issues. So in the past year, we had over 150 men sign on to the No Shave November program. And what that meant was that they decided to not shave and to also have a t-shirt or button that said, "Ask me about my beard." And when someone asked them about their beard, they would go ahead and talk about why they're wearing it, why consent is so important to them. So we had a wonderful response from this program. And you can see there 3 of the students who won the beard off this past year. And interestingly, we had really positive response from across from other students as well. Students who don't grow beards have really been interested in this project as well. And so they will sometimes write t-shirts and say, "Ask me about why I'm not growing a beard." And it'll be the same project. So Revolution, Making Art for a Change, is in its 9th year, and that's a program that's done by our networking, publicity, and activism students. It's a week-long art exhibit. It is open to the entire community. We solicit art from nationally as well as from our own students. And Making Art for a Change is a project that allows for students who, or community members who have experienced violence, who have something to say about the issue, want to say it in an artistic way, to do so and to have a platform. And so they have an art opening. It is something that's very well attended throughout the entire campus. We collaborate with the School of Art and Design. We collaborate with a lot of different student groups on campus that are engaged in art making, and it's a really wonderful way to create a platform for voices that might not normally have the ability to come to light. And so those are 2 programs that we think are really possible for other campuses to adopt, and that can be an excellent complement to the work that you're already doing on campus. Next slide. So with that, if there's any, with that, if there's any other additional questions or any anything that anyone else would like to know about those programs or about any of the work that we're doing at University of Michigan, you can reach me at our website, sapac.umich.edu. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Holly. Our next presenter is David Fleming, Marketing Manager of Code Blue, who have graciously sponsored this year's NACSAM campaign. For over 15 years, David has used his rare and invaluable combination of creative, organizational, and communication skills to develop businesses. A graduate of Hope College, David's versatility and entrepreneurial spirit allows him to excel in nearly any environment. As the marketing manager of Code Blue, David uses these talents to cultivate the organization's brands and their exposure in the marketplace while overseeing new product launches. David's enthusiastic attitude and outstanding work ethic make him a champion for positive change at Code Blue and in the community. Welcome, David.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me. I wanted to first say that there are just some amazing projects going on in the communities across the country on all of your campuses. I mean, today we've had an example with St. Cloud State Emory and University of Michigan, but I know there are a lot of other projects going on. So we want to encourage you here to continue those activities moving forward in the months to come. First, I want to thank Clery Center for letting us once again be a part of National Campus Safety Awareness Month. And I'm going to spend just a few minutes today talking about the important role communication has in keeping us all safe, and how this work you're doing this month can create a dialogue that is critical to improving security on your campus. Well, first, a little history to help you better understand the evolution of security and safety on a campus. Traditionally, when institutions talked about safety, their focus was primarily a reactive one. So when something would happen, there were plans set in place to respond, and then after the fact, aid in the recovery through, say, an investigation. What was realized, however, over time, those opportunities were there before the incident even occurred to prevent it from happening. So today, most institutions operate in more of a cyclical fashion that includes not only response and recovery, but critical work to evaluate, adjust, and prepare in an effort to prevent future incidents from occurring. What was once a reactive process is now a proactive one. And then the key to all of this, of course, is communication. Students, faculty, and staff all have to develop relationships that breed trust, so that this dialogue on keeping the institution safe can remain a top priority. So when it comes to a campus, there are clear lines of communication between them and the individuals that they support. Campuses have a number of ways that they can funnel key information, whether for informational or emergency needs. Things like email, public address, websites, social media, and text messaging are all available to campuses to distribute their timely warnings and emergency notifications per the Clery Act. But like all good communication, it's a two-way street. In order to be proactive in the security and safety process, there needs to be healthy channels for individuals to connect back to the school during an emergency, and then after the fact, organizations to review and promote best practices to avoid those future incidents. And this might be a good time to stop and just say, when I talk about emergency, there are really levels to it. I mean, there are scenarios such as weather or medical or physical threats that happen on a campus. But there are other instances that are on an individual's perspective, such as even being lost on a campus or having your car break down in a parking lot, where it's an emergency situation to the individual, but it's not necessarily life-threatening. But no matter the reason, there are a number of ways we can communicate before, during, and after an emergency. Of course, email is always available. Social media is another way. But there are other things, such as emergency mobile apps that can be downloaded on smartphones that allow us to immediately send out an alert to a campus personnel, as well as personal contacts such as your family, friends, roommates, whenever you need help. Of course, another option are emergency phones. Oftentimes they're called blue light phones, and they're available on most campuses to provide a direct line of communication to security personnel in 911. Well, let's talk for a second about social media. I mean, we all know how integral it's become in our lives, but traditionally, especially in emergency situations, campuses have been hesitant to make social media a core component of their distribution plan. Part of that's just due to the fact of the continual evolution of social media. While we all think Facebook and Twitter have been around for some time, new platforms keep popping up every day. And with a change like that, it's not hard to see why a campus would be hesitant to build around such a dynamic environment. But as late as last summer, things started to change. During the last year's Oklahoma tornadoes and the Boston Marathon bombings, social media became a critical way for individuals and to not only connect with loved ones to let them know they're okay, but also to request assistance from responding organizations. And this activity got the attention of Congress and institutions all over the country who are now taking a hard look at how we can best use social media during these situations. And as that dialogue continues, it's important for us to consider how our organizations can revolve around social media. So we have all these ways that we can communicate back and forth. And yet the most important, and arguably the most secure, way we can communicate is simply by talking. Face-to-face communication is still the best way to build strong, lasting connections with those around you. These are the kinds of connections that are most needed on that preventative side of the safety circle. Sometimes we lose track of this, though, when we're in this digital age where we'd rather text than place a phone call to somebody. but it's something that can also serve us as an important function of our organization's communication out to the campus as well. If you want to resonate with an audience, you have to humanize your message. We've all seen the bulletin boards like this all over your campus. So how do you decipher between all of these different messages? Well, the answer is that you have to make the message more than just an ad. And the best way to do that is to help connect who you are with what the message is. Earlier in the presentation, the term student ambassador was used, and I thought this was a great example of what I'm talking about. Most people are not just going to attend a meeting or join a campaign because of the poster, but they will if they know you and they know how important it is to you. And all of this begins with strong face-to-face communication. When you're on a campus, the two main bodies, the students and the staff, they always need to be in communication. But for most campuses, the surrounding community is integral as well. Businesses and community partners, they need to be part of this dialogue because the students and staff are likely spending a lot of time in their shops, in their offices, and their restaurants. Also, we can't forget about the importance that parents have to create an open dialogue. While they may be far from a campus, they have insight and communication lines to the students that are critical. All along those same lines, mentors on and off campus also have that same kind of insight that we need to welcome. So we have all of this. How do you strengthen those connections, especially between the students, the student organizations, and the campus? Again, it gets back to talking, the willingness to open up and engage each other in a one-on-one basis. From there, we can start sharing resources and knowledge. It's a great way to find common ground between one another. And once you establish that, it's easy to find ways you can collaborate to maximize your impact on a campus. While we'd all like to think that we can do it alone, the reality is that that's quite a difficult path, and the outcome isn't quite as good. But collaboration offers the opportunity to pool funding, members, and more to better educate the community by focusing that message and expanding its reach. So instead of similar yet different messages coming from a number of organizations, all of which will probably overwhelm those who are listening, you can create a singular, focused message that is delivered through all of the organizations. There was a great example of this earlier with Emory University's Red Zone Rally, where multiple organizations came together to develop and promote the event. You know, at Code Blue, our passion really revolves around this kind of efficient and effective communication. For nearly 25 years, we've been working with colleges around the world on building the best solutions so that when help is needed, it's available immediately and at the touch of a button, which is why we are so excited to be a part of National Campus Safety Awareness Month and the opportunity to work with all of you to create lasting change on your campus and in your community. With that, I'd like to kick it back to my friends over at Clery Center to wrap up today's webinar.
Thank you so much. And I think there were so many golden nuggets of things that we can be doing on our campuses throughout this webinar. And even just going back to No Shave November, that was really significant to me because so many times we look at campus safety issues and we think that just because they're serious topics, that it's difficult to make these campaigns interesting or engaging. So what I really appreciate is that we saw some really valuable examples of how you can engage students in a way that really they certainly can connect with and something that will appeal to them at any level. We also had some questions come in about connecting to some of these resources. So as a reminder, the Pact 5 website itself is www.pact5.org. You can get the documentaries guide and the handouts for tabling on the Clery Center website, which is clerycenter.org. You can just go on the National Campus Safety Awareness Month page and be able to access that as well. The program that LB spoke about with the YouTube videos is called Project Unspoken, and I know that that was something even at our organization that we had certainly stumbled across before we even had the pleasure of working with LB directly. So that's available online through YouTube, and I know that they are very active on Twitter as well, so you can connect that way. And really, that's what we hope that this webinar can, or what will stand out from this webinar, is that it is incredibly useful to stay connected and to emphasize some of the points of the presenters before us. Really, you have an opportunity here to connect with other institutions and individuals doing this work and all of the resources that are available, especially those online. A lot of times, for example, you can look at the picture in front of you. That was an example from last year's National Campus Safety Awareness Month, and that was led by their campus police. We have others where campus security is leading the charge. We have women's centers, we have student groups, we have student affairs. every institution, we see a lot of differences as to what the campaign or what National Campus Safety Awareness Month looks like. So really utilize this opportunity to stay connected. Going back to how you can connect with us, you can see our Facebook and Twitter handles are listed below, as well as that SCSV hashtag to continue the conversation. And also pay attention to some of the other resources that are available, not just for NACSAM, but other months as well. For example, our partner stalking or our Collaborators Stalking Resource Center always has resources available for National Stalking Awareness Month in January. Break the Cycle has free resource materials about domestic and dating violence. We know the National Sexual Violence Resource Center has a number of resources related to bystander intervention and other topics. So rather than reinvent the wheel, really look at what other people are doing and what's out there and how that can be tailored to your own institution. And in addition to that, PAVE and the Clery Center work to provide education and resources about the year. And Angela's just going to share a little bit more about an event that she has coming up later this month. So Angela, if you wouldn't mind sharing.
Sure, thank you very much. I'll be brief. I just wanted to mention I am the founder of PAVE, Promoting Awareness, Victim Empowerment. I've been doing this work now for over 17 years. And I'm very passionate about not only the prevention of sexual assault, but also the prevention of re-traumatization and re-victimization of survivors by institutions and by campus police. Briefly, my story was I was catapulted into this movement when I was 17. I was kidnapped from a shopping mall parking lot. And when I went to report, I wasn't believed. And so I think having a multidisciplinary approach at this issue is crucial. So I travel the country, I talk to survivors all the time. We do a lot of training and educating of both students and professionals. As I mentioned, engaging men and women to be a part of the solution. And there has been no other time than right now for us to collectively galvanize the national movement. I use my story of stranger assault to educate students that it is usually someone that we know and trust. We know that 1 in 4 women will be sexually assaulted during her time on college campus, which is unacceptable. I met yesterday with the director of the Office on Violence Against Women. The White House cares about this issue. This is something that we are coming together for a national campus sexual assault summit on September 27th as part of this campaign. It's going to be held at Georgetown Law in DC, but broadcasting live to universities all over the country. And this is so important because we're looking at prevention, empowerment, and policy with a wide range of topics, including Title IX issues. We have survivors speaking. We're talking about male survivors. There's so many issues, as well as underrepresented student populations, LGBTQIA, students of color. And we have a woman from MTV, Sarah Rice, who's going to be really talking about pop culture and these issues. But you can register at shatteringthesilence.org. Shatteringthesilence.org. You can register right there. And we've had a tremendous amount of media in the past year, from the Oprah Winfrey Network to CNN, the Bio Channel, and CNN has told us that they will cover this. So I just want to thank all of you so much for being on this call and for all of your passion and your work. And we can make a difference. And I just want to end with my favorite Margaret Mead quote, which is, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." And you can find me at Angela@pavingtheway.net.
Thank you so much, Angela. And I think that really what's significant to us is we love to see all of the work that all of you are doing. We've already had a number of emails and phone calls with people who are very excited about what their campus is doing for Safe Campus, Strong Voices and National Campus Safety Awareness Month. Please keep sending those photos and videos and information about your events. We'll continue to add them to the strongvoicescampaign.org, to share on our website, to tweet, to add to our Facebook. We really just want to highlight the good work. And as Angela was saying, this is really a great time to be proactive, to talk about these issues and to make sure that we are addressing them regardless of where our campus is and regardless of resources. We have so many things available to us. In addition to that, we're always available. So please reach out to myself, Abby, to Amy at the Clery Center, and Angela at PAVE. We are always willing to have a conversation, to talk to you about what you're doing, to give any recommendations or suggestions for some resources that you can connect to. So please use the emails on the screen in front of you and give us a call. We're happy to have those discussions. Each institution is so different, and we're happy to help you as you figure out what's best for your own unique institution. We're looking at the list of questions. It doesn't look as though there are any lingering questions or hands up. However, if following the webinar, you think of something that you wish you had connected with us about, again, those emails are available. You can connect with us on our website as well, and all of that information is listed right in front of you. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to all of the presenters today for sharing the information, all of the things that they're doing at their own campuses and within their own industries to do this kind of work. And thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful afternoon.